Hi, Namaste, and welcome to Drag Me to Heaven. This is a podcast which is brought to you by me. My name is Patruni Shastri. I'm a drag artist from Hyderabad, and I am here to kind of talk about drag and faith while interviewing a lot of drag artists across the world. So, while you kind of come ahead and chime in, I would like to quickly go ahead and tell you that I would be more than happy to listen to what you are thinking after each podcast. So, there's a poll which is being set up where you can kind of go ahead and answer. Secondly, you can also send your suggestions as well as recommendations on pcsas3 at gmail.com. You can also follow us on all the Spotify channels as well as all the other channels where we are available as and when you kind of get your podcast at. We are also somebody who are on social media, so please go ahead and follow Dragwanti and all the other drag artists who are being tagged across each and every poster which is kind of coming. So today we are talking about a very interesting topic, intersectionality of caste, intersectionality of religion, and drag in its own self, and how exactly caste plays a major role within our canvas. Also, sometimes how exactly the entire drag space is. Not having much homogenization of caste in its own self. And today we have a very wonderful artist from Goa. Their name is Salaura or Sandy, and they would be with us to kind of go ahead and discuss about how they kind of relate to the faith, how they bring their idea of drag, and a lot more conversation. So stay tuned. Without any further ado, let me quickly pull in Salaura. Hi everyone, my name is Sass, aka Suffocated Art Specimen, aka Sass, and I am your drag artist from Hyderabad, and we have been in this conversation with drag me to heaven, and today I have a very wonderful artist from Goa. I met them, a couple of times, and I have spoken with them for a long time now. And we are again here to kind of share and understand the journeys of drag with the idea of faith. And I hope you'll all be loving this conversation as well. So, without any further ado, let me quickly go ahead and call Salaura, aka Sandeep Marwa, on this podcast. Hi and welcome.
Yay. Hi, thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Thank you so much for agreeing to this, and thank you so much for taking time out, especially
But
with the busy schedule which you follow. And you are a wonderful dancer. I have been kind of following all your kind of work, which you have been doing.
thank you.
So to
Thank
start
you so
with,
much.
I want to kind of ask you to introduce yourself and your pronouns and your faith practice or belief. We use the word faith very loosely in the conversation because it may be the new age idea of faith or how we kind of look into, or it may be some kind of a beliefs which we carry and create within our own self. So please do introduce
Correct.
yourself to our audience, and also if you can walk us through your faith and belief values, that would be helpful.
Correct. Hi, my name is Sandy Salaura, and with her aura, which is AURA. And I'm a performer. I started doing drag professionally about 3 or 4 years back, like properly. And before that, I used to be a dancer in the industry, Bollywood industry, for about 10 odd years. I have toured with A.R. Rahman as Sandy Salora. I have worked with the best people in the business for about 10 years, done shoots, done jhalak, did some reality television shows, but not as dancer. And then I finally was done with it, and I wanted to show people the star that I am, but I don't really think that I had the confidence or the security to do it as Sandy. So I was like, oh wow, I the more I observed drag and the more I watched it, because I used to judge it a lot before. Um, um, and I was not for it. And I used to be like, why are people dressing up and what is this? It's just clownery and foolery. And I used to judge it a lot and I used to not watch it. And then a straight friend of mine made me watch it, and then I actually got to see it. And the more I understood the art behind it, and when it really registered as an art form to me, and I was already a dancer and a choreographer, I'm trained in multiple dance forms professionally as well. So when I saw that, I was just like, I think this is best. I have also studied fashion, so I make my own costumes mostly. Now not so much because the time is less, so you have to like really not so much now. But when I started doing drag, yes, I used to make my own costumes, and sometimes I still do. So I could mix all of these aspects, of my dancing and my theater and my acting and all of these things together and into one, and show people the star that I am. But I didn't have to be Sandy for it, because as Sandy, I'm not a very, very confident person as far as it comes to my skin color. We are born in a very in a society which was colonized, and it was colonized because we have kind of affinity towards white skin. So I have a lot of insecurity with Sandy on that thing. I love my skin color now. It's I've come a long way, of course, because I got to travel a lot. But it was not always like that growing up, because I grew up in a very conservative, scheduled caste Dalit family, which had like a very poor people's mentality. And then the idea was to show the world the star that I am through my art, and that's how Salaura was born. And as far as faith is concerned, at a very early age, I think I realized that my that religion just sort of, I felt like, was disturbing things and took people away, right? Because I had
Mhm.
all sort of friends, because I grew up in Bombay. So I had all sorts of friends from all different faith, and I went to a Christian school, but there were Muslims, there was everyone. And I'm like, when you become friends with a human being, you really don't see anything else but that they're a human being. And
Yeah.
so the more I understood that it took away people from me and took me far away, and not that I came from some Brahminical or any family which depends, their bread and butter depends on it. So I came from a family that was not that strict. So we prayed too. I went to mosque growing up. I went to temples growing up. The
Mhm.
idea, church growing up, the idea
Mhm.
was to really feel the energy of that space
Mhm.
and really respect, and it was like a higher power to me. I would just go for the energy, not
Mhm.
because it's Allah or it's because of anything. Like any such religious space has a
Mhm.
very beautiful energy, and I didn't want to separate myself from anything. So I believe that I started believing in spirituality, and it was a slow and steady process. And universe also made me encounter and come across people that were universal in approach. As far
Mhm.
as religion is concerned, it was more spiritual than religious.
Yeah.
And it has worked beautifully for me. It has kept me in tune with myself, and because of that, in tune with like so many other people around me as well.
Mhm.
Um, and that's how I look at things, and that's a little bit about my faith, I guess, that I believe in.
So, yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And I think you started in the very, like, right note, because I think in the current society which we are all living in, especially with our generation of people, we are trying to look at religion or a faith or belief in a far more different way than we were being constructively told to. And as artists is something which I'm trying to explore as a part of this particular podcast as well. So, coming to my next question, your drag is extraordinary. You bring such a different level of energy, and you bring a such a nuance of work while you are performing, and it's very political in its own nature when you kind of resonate that kind of, capturing or holding that particular space and articulating it to the audience. Um, how did the journey of drag began, and did your faith or your belief of your core human nature somewhere helped you shape your drag persona, because it also has aura in it? So I just want to understand, like, is there something
Correct.
which is a blend of
It
both?
definitely had such a huge role to play, because firstly, doing drag that I judged, I don't think would have been possible if I was not in tuned inwards. It's a very inward thing, and until it's done and understood, it can't be understood by, like, I guess, lay people. So it had a lot of my faith attached to it, my drag, and there's a lot of spirituality, and that's why my name itself has aura in it. because I believe everything is an aura and everything is a frequency. But that's just me. Uh, and I also live in Goa, so it supports that, I guess. Yeah, there's a lot of spirituality that comes in picture, a lot of internal work, a lot of work. I think it requires a certain amount of security, which my faith and my spirituality and the belief in the higher power universally gives me that 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 uh, security to do drag. I don't think otherwise it's really possible to do something that's so intense and so deep and so not easy to do because it takes a lot of time, and we all know that it takes just 4 hours for me to just get ready, and after that is when you have to tuck your dick and wear 10,000 stockings and your wig and everything, and then go on stage, and then your work starts. So that's like a full shift, if nothing less than that, and you're just like sitting there like doing makeup for hours. So it's something that really requires a very strong foundation. And in my case, it comes from my spirituality 100% for sure. Yeah.
Indeed, and something which I want to kind of see and share as well. I have seen a lot of times where you have been creating or kind of doing beach vogue, which is something which is so elemental in its own nature, like right in front of a sea, and then creating something, and then early morning or at the dawn. Those are some of the things which really resonate. The idea of how you connect your art with the experience or the elements around. So I want to kind of come back to a question which I think, as a queer individual, somewhere or the other way, this is a very common space where we always have a conflict between our faith and our sexuality or gender expression, etc. So, and did you had any kind of such conflict between your drag artistry and faith, and how did you navigate those challenges?
Not really. I never had like a challenge. It all only made it better for me to have the spirituality. Yes, growing up, however, things are very different at this moment in life, in my life, of course. But growing up, I did not do drag, and I did not do a lot of things for that matter, as far as my sexuality or what I wanted to do was concerned. I come from a scheduled caste background, like a very low. My parents were sewers. Like they they cleaned it, and they went from building to building, and they took people's garbage, and I left home when I was 16. I come from a very a scheduled caste Haryanvi family, which uh, the, it almost felt like it was very funny because there was a sense of very Brahmanical practices that were taking place in my house, and I did not understand. And things like, oh, if in front of the temple you're not supposed to go without clothes, and I would ask. I'm a very curious person, and that's why it makes sense that I'm in the art of creativity, because I'm very very curious as a person, and as a child also I was very curious, and they could never answer these things to me, like really they could not answer these things to me. All it was like, this is what is told, and they are parents and they've given birth, so that is what it was. So initially, yes, it came in the way of a lot of things, because it was so easy for my parents to blame everything on God. Like, if you don't do this, and I think some parents still do this, play this card, like, if you don't do this, then God. And it's like this whole, I feel like, a brainwash that you're given as like a child. Fortunately for me, I realized things very soon in life, and I got out of my house at the age of 16, which was not very very easy. But I still don't look at myself as a victim, but it was a result of how in tune my parents were to these, trying to be and have this Brahmanical practice, which really, I don't know where it came from. My mother was like, did upvas, and we had a temple at home, and you are like diya is there and ghee ka diya and this and that and like all of those rituals and more rituals and all of that thing and puja and kali and goat sacrifice and this and that. And it was, I grew up in a very, and everything was blamed on God, everything was blamed on religion, everything stemmed from there. But when you ask them questions, they really did not have any answers. And to a point where there were times when I really grew up and I started traveling. I started traveling when I was 16, when I started making money. And then sometimes when I would come back home, like my mom would say certain things which I would question, of course, as far as religion or God and things attached to the character of a person through religion was concerned, which included being gay or not, or whatever it may. And I would ask her, it almost felt like she used to have some round table conference with God, and to a point where I remember asking her that, did you like you sound like you literally sat with God, like you were summoned at this round table conference, and then you had this conference, and now they've given you this new information, and the new information is what you're coming and telling me, right? You are supposed to do this as per religion. I was like, wow, it feels like you really had a round table conference with the gods, like she used to talk like that, um so yeah, it did. But when I freed myself from my house and my environment, which was it really freed me in terms of religion also. I was able to be like more free. Like I have I mean, you'll find everything in my house, from like a like this kind of diya which has been bought from a temple. Like I paid for it and it bought from a temple, not because of any religious reasons, but it has been in that temple. I believe in energy, so I was like, it's been in that energy for so long, and it's expensive piece of art as well, and like all of these sort of things that I was like, I want to own it. So I have this. I believe in rituals a lot, is what I think I have taken to learn from religions. But I don't do it for religious purpose. I do it for spiritual reasons. I do a cleanse in the house, which is like your atypical sambrani with camphor and whatever. It also has a lot of scientific reasons. It just does not have religious reasons. I do it to cleanse my house because it takes away the moisture, it takes away the mold, and it smells good. It makes your house feel nice. I do like different kind of incense sticks. I do. Uh, I have a visual of my mom going around with the agarbatti, right? And she's no more. Um, but like I still do it, but not because I'm summoning some god or having some, maybe like a frequency might be playing in my house in the mornings, right? That's how I start my morning. It's a frequency that plays in the morning, and I'm doing these rituals and lighting a diya, thinking of my friends and my people and myself and my loved ones, and thinking about them and lighting a diya. But it's not to any one named god, but to like a higher power that has no name, maybe, and that works for me. Yeah.
Indeed, I think you pointed out something which is very interesting. I grew up in a family which is of which has a lot of religion. My father is a priest, and usually what happens is like every time something kind of comes from this side to that side. Sometimes I'm not wearing something which I should not be wearing, or something like that, or taking nails in the house, or something like that. They would kind of
Correct.
come and
Yeah,
say,
that's
they would come and say, "Oh, this will
very
cause this."
similar.
Breaking fingers, like
Yeah,
breaking fingers, like if you're
yeah.
chuckling your fingers, it says that it brings you unlucky. And I was like, which scriptures are you reading, or which book is it written? I want to kind of go back and sometimes what exactly happens is like my father, like if he realizes that my questioning is correct, he will not question me back. He will not say, "Oh, I am the elder." No, he will like, okay, I couldn't find it, and I think you are right. I couldn't find it. So that was a level of uh, to and fro things which used to happen, and somewhere or the other way, it helped me in re-channelizing or re-questioning the faith which we all kind of believe in. And that's how we also kind of derive our own version of it. It's like, as queerness is something which we derive our own versions, our own identities, faith is also something which is very personal in its own nature, and we are the ones who should be defining what our faith looks like, spirituality looks like. As you talked about spirituality, I wanted to kind of ask you something which is a very interesting question. Did you ever feel drag being a medium of spiritual expression, and were there any instances where you felt spiritually elevated when you are performing drag?
Always. At every second moment that I go on stage, I feel very elevated as a scheduled caste, Dalit, queer, brown skinned, all of in the pyramid, the lowest thing as a femme boy, like whatever, everything. According to my ex husband, all falls under. He had a pyramid, and I was like uh, the lowest, right?
Yeah, I think the
Because
privilege pyramid is it's called.
yeah, so I was
Mm.
like the lowest in all, like in
Mhm.
all aspects. And growing up, Dalit was like so difficult, right?
Hmm.
Um, and every second moment, as a queer person, as a Dalit person, I never had the power.
Hmm. Hmm.
Never ever had the power of situationally born in a Dalit family. I was always, if I did good in school, I went to a good school. Luckily, my parents put me. I'm the seventh child. I
Hmm.
have six sisters before me, so they
Hmm.
really wanted a son, and the joke is on them.
Hmm.
uh we did get a son, but like, the fabulous kinds a little bit, they like really like toxic men. That is the definition of men for them, because my dad was that, right? My dad is that rather, and that's why I don't live with him. So I was never given any opportunity. I was never given any. It was taken from me before it came to me, only just because of my surname, because of my caste, because of my half of the things were taken away from my because of my queerness, because of how I spoke, how I did things. Everything was wrong. Everything was it was not good enough. Like, even if I was good, and so it was so difficult. Spirituality bought in the confidence and bought in and released me from tagging myself all of these things like a Dalit and whatever. In fact, what it has done is it has just done a beautiful thing for me, and it's given me uh, the power to sort of do what I do. And every time I go on that stage, not having that power growing up, this is the time when you are paying me for all the things that you made fun of me growing up, which is baila, good, feminine, ladki, chakka, whatever words you can come up with, bhangi, like all of these things. Here is this bhangi, here is this queer, effeminate guy, here is this baila, here is this chakka, or whatever you want to call me. I have the complete control of making you feel amazing, and you are paying me for it. I am in control when I'm on that stage, and I have some sort of a remote control that somehow determines your joy in those many minutes that I'm on stage. So what you made fun of is what you're paying to come and have an experience and enjoy it. And that's the biggest kind of power for me as an artist. I would be the happiest to sort of, we all have to die one day, and I would like to die on stage. I would like to die. The spotlight is made for me. I feel so amazing when the spotlight falls on me, because also what a spotlight does is it is so enduring and so bright that all you can see is the horizon. You really can't see the audience or anyone. All you can see is horizon. So it's your own world. It's you're in this beautiful world that you can create on that stage. Um, yeah, every single time I go on that stage it's very overwhelming, and uh, yeah, it's not easy, of course. To do that, but it's very special. I don't even have words how to explain it to you, but hopefully whatever I said can be comprehended.
Yeah, I think
And
you pointed out something which is very unique, like the change of status quo. Like I think artists are the major or the biggest creators this world could ever see it in person, because what we do is we kind of so whatever is kind of fragile in the society, once we assume a space, once people again assume space, and try to kind of change the status quo of the audience versus the creator, what exactly happens is like it creates a very different space to kind of experience, like to feel, and also helps us in reforming the society in a far more better way. I think that holding of the space or holding of the power is something which empowers artists like no other things. I think that is something which you have wonderfully put, and thank you so much for sharing that and being very much open about that feeling. I had my own moment of joy when I heard speaking to you. But thank you so much for that. Um, Now coming back to questions, which is basically about gender-based violence or violence on the name of caste, violence on the name of religion, violence on the name of uh, you know uh, gender, like being a trans person, non-trans, sexuality, etc. These are all something which are kind of prevalent in the society, irrespective from whatever the developing
Correct.
nations, etc. Whereas when artists kind of assume spaces, as you said, as artists kind of take those spaces, they have a very huge space to kind of change the society. Now, one of the things which can easily influence people is one, artistry or creativity, and the other one is conversation within the faith or a religious context. And what drag artists again, I'm trying to kind of uh, give examples of how exactly this is happening in the world, so that we can connect the question in a far more better way. Like there are drag artists like Sister for Perpetual Indulgence, who basically kind of dress up as nuns, go ahead and hug people
Yeah.
with HIV, and
Yeah.
trying to use religion not to kind of question back, but also to kind of agitate and bring in people together.
Correct.
And same with
Correct.
people like Nina West, who also somebody who dresses up in drag and shows up to a church and has a conversation. So, do you think such kind of a nuanced approaches with interfaith dialogue is something which we like Indian drag scene should be kind of considering? And if you can also tell some more information about how do you feel the current landscape of drag is in India? Is it accommodable for all intersectional people, or is it something which we still need to kind of work together on?
Um, I think with the I think as far as India is concerned, I am really scared to dabble in this as a Dalit person, because I have seen how the Brahmin boys in my school try to ruin me and try to ruin, and nothing really happens to them. Even if I go to a cop, nothing really is going to happen to them, right? So it comes at the end of the day, it comes to me back saying that what do I want peace. As a queer person, it has already been so difficult, not only just queer but also Dalit. So it was so difficult any which ways. The only thing that I require is, if my voice is not heard, is to somehow get to a point where my voice one day will be heard. And to get to that place, there are certain things that needs to be done, and patience need to be had. I don't really think that we are in a space given the current scenario. But if some very privileged drag queen who has the backing and who comes from a Brahmin family and the privileges are there, who have the privilege, I don't really think I have it. I don't even
Hmm,
have a family back.
hmm,
I'm all on my own. I left my house at 16. I don't take a single penny from home. Not that they will give me,
hmm,
but so I feel fearful. All I need is to protect myself
hmm,
and to get to a level one day, hopefully, where
hmm,
my voice will be heard. And I'm getting there slowly and steadily. I just have to be patient. But I really see hope in terms of other privileged caste people, or people who are little privileged in things like that, in terms of caste and all of those things, because that's so prevalent in India for some reason, can make a difference, and I think can have a way of going about it. Um, yeah, I think that is possible. And but if I have to talk about myself, I am very fearful to do anything around a religion or faith, or any of those kind of things, because it's such a subjective thing. I don't know who I could rub the wrong way. I don't want my career to end before it starts, then I can't afford that because I have no backing. But if I did have all of those backing, would I do it? Yes, I would 100% go ahead and do things which are more gutsy in nature. For sure, for sure.
Hmm.
But if with drag, I think India has a very long way to go. Like a really, really long way to go. It's really, I'm like, my age is just catching up, and I have a body issue and I have a back issue. So I'm really in a hurry to live all my fantasies. But one can't do anything much. I have to roll with the punches and go and be patient and hopefully just keep doing and live as many fantasies as I can live and pick them out before I am not able to do this beautiful art form called as drag.
Yeah, I think you have mentioned something which is very 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 need of an hour, and especially when we spoke about the solidarity between how people with privilege can kind of change the entire aspect of how we kind of operate. Having said that, there are times where this solidarity is only on words but not in action, and somewhere or the other way,
Correct.
like we never consciously, like coming from an oppressor caste background. It took me time to at least rethink about what I'm trying to say, or use my privilege for a right cause. It's very easy and very obnoxious to say that, okay, this is something which we can do together, but will we actually step in and take that effort and time is something which usually a lot of the people with privilege people would not make sit and consciously make those decisions. So thank you so much for bringing that out. And also, as you create your path, as you are kind of leading this particular space, create channelizing your energy as well as efforts to create a nuance in your own drag. I'm more than 100% sure that people would be following you. You won't be kind of walking alone, but there will be a bunch of people who'd be following with you, and try to walk on the same footsteps, so that this entire effort can be a roller for the entire community kind of go forward. And thank you so much for putting out loud, and saying it out loud as well. And also, I would like to thank for talking about caste as well as drag, because for a long time now, this was something which 5 years before somebody uh, wanted to kind of understand how caste is being played within the entire drag space in India. And people think that we don't talk because we're all performing in clubs, and clubs don't talk about caste, etc. And it's not something which is very, very much visible. Having said that, off late, I couldn't even pinpoint, or I couldn't even see if somebody could lead this conversation. And I think somewhere or the other way, you coming out and saying it loud is something which helps all of us to rethink or rekindle about where our what places we are holding, and if we should be holding it in the very first place or not. If there is a grant which might be for a specific intersectional individual, uh, there is a high need of time that people who have certain kind of privilege to kind of leave it aside, so that people who might be genuinely needing that particular grant can kind of get it, and make it a far more better way. So yeah, so thank you so much for initiating that
Yeah,
conversation.
those things can only happen through awareness, through
Hmm,
mindfulness,
hmm,
and through people. As you said, you understand your privilege and then you work from there. And it took you time to get to that space, right? People just need to be a little more human to understand that,
hmm,
right? Like I'm a performance queen. I would, if some say something Halloweeny came up, I would leave that space open for Art Rises. I would
hmm,
refer her
hmm,
for that thing, right?
hmm,
And
hmm,
so on and so forth. If there is something modeling like, I would refer the, someone like Luna or something like that,
hmm,
right?
hmm.
But I see a lot of drag queens who can't do a lot of things, but they want to be in
Yeah.
everything. They also want to be in performance. I mean, like, leave that alone for the queens who go to the studio and do
Hmm,
all of those things
hmm,
and
hmm,
who put so much of a time and energy in that performing arts, as
Hmm.
far as dancing or anything is concerned. I mean, so I think that mindfulness needs to be there, and that can only happen if we start seeing each other as human beings. And
Hmm.
there is a lot of nepotism that happens also. And I came to realize I couldn't start drag for the longest time because of my family,
Hmm.
right? It's not like that I didn't want to have. Now, having the right connections, if you are already, I'm not going to take names because that would be really unnecessary, but being associated to a big name because you come from a privileged family, and then
Hmm.
being associated, then this really big person who's huge in the industry, who's huge in the LGBTQ community, who does so much for the community, is giving you place to stay, is giving you a teacher, is giving you the best outfits from the best designers in India. It means a lot. As a queer Dalit person, can I ever be in a state where somebody funds me? Never.
Hmm.
I have funded myself. There has been not a single person who has backed me up or any of those things. Not that I demand it or that I want it or that I feel that I'm entitled to have it. But
Hmm.
I'm just saying that I have seen this even in India. The drag queens who are at this moment, at the level that they are, they've had a lot of support from these big
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
a huge support, and any kind of support is welcome. So I am also constantly looking from support from, like, I was married to an upper class person, upper
Hmm.
caste person. I'm,
Hmm.
as a Dalit person, you're always like, like,
Hmm.
looking to see where you can get your support
Hmm.
from. And mostly these are the people who have the means and
Hmm.
the connect and the networking. And the rich people function a different way, right? Like the
Hmm.
privileged people have their way. They look out for each other. The
Yeah.
money is what I realized. It revolves there only.
Yeah.
The money revolves between them only.
And then it's
So
very,
they create
very, it's also very hard
network.
to kind of, yeah, it's very hard also to kind of, like, what I think is like, it's also to break that circle of power.
Correct.
It's very hard. And,
But I'm
and
doing it.
yeah, you're
Uh,
doing, I was about to say that. And, breaking that circle, it takes courage, to be honest. And it's not like very, you know, uh, words to kind of express it. But having said that, um, but once you break that courage, and once you break that circle, and once you kind of breach it, and once you are at a certain position of space, or holding the power space, it automatically transforms or makes the people who are running in these circuits to realize that what they have been lacking, you know uh, you know
Correct.
privilege comes with foolishness, to be honest. The times where people
Correct.
feel you're trapped in their foolishness, and once that is broken, once they're checked in, if I could say it in that way,
Correct.
the space which opens up for individuals to kind of recreate or think about makes it very much agile for each and everybody to coexist. And these are again very superficial, like the conversation which I'm saying is very superficial. It's not going to happen in India, at least for the next at least for the next 10 years,
Correct.
unless there is a full on reform which usually happens. But within a smaller community like drag, if we could achieve that change of status quo, I think that would help us to build up a better space as artists surviving with each other. So I think on that is something which I kind of stuck my thought while I was hearing to you. We are just at the last part of the question, which is like, would you be having any message to the audience, especially the younger listeners who are trying to kind of navigate faith, and also stray to true to their identity, or somebody who's trying to navigate drag and trying to kind of figure out their faith alignment, what would be your message to them?
I think my message to them would just be like, I always believe in action more than words, and my drag is doing something like that, which is proving that I wanted to prove to myself, and
Hmm.
in turn, to other people. Right? It comes across. I'm a Dalit individual. I come from nothing. I left my house at 16.
Hmm.
I had issues because of my caste and my where I came from. I had issue because I was queer, because I was dark skinned, and so much more. Hopefully, there are many of us, and I'm using the word us because there are people like us over there who are also doing drag, not just who are like Dalit, but also doing drag by itself is so it
Hmm.
takes a lot of strength to
Hmm.
do what we do, minus even the cars. So all of us, I think if we lead an example for them to see in not in words but in action.
Hmm.
uh, I did not have anybody. I don't have a mentor. I didn't have anybody growing up to see as a Dalit person. I am the first person who even went abroad or who sat in a plane to begin with, period. In
Hmm.
my entire fucking family. I've been
Hmm.
8% of the world. I think people need to. If I saw that, I would have believed in myself so much more. What
Hmm.
I'm able to do at the age of 36, maybe I would have been able to do it much earlier,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
also as time passes by, you have lesser time, and then my body is able to do certain things now and not do certain things now that it was able to do earlier,
Hmm.
right? As an artist also, if I have to see my fantasy of an artist, right?
Hmm.
So I wish that had happened earlier. No regrets, but I wish that people realize this earlier, like the younger generation, as you're saying. I think we need the message is for them to is to. I hope that I reach and people like us who do drag reach the right sort of youngsters for them to see and be like, oh, this is a Dalit individual. This is he still does drag and a queer individual and navigating faith and through just looking at that, I think will give them the strength and the motivation and the belief that, oh, if this human being can do this, so can we. I can be a Dalit and I can still be a fabulous drag artist, or I could be a Christian or whichever faith, and I still could do that. Um, Authenticity is the religion that I would like to follow, and that's what I would say. The if you can add a little authenticity to your religion and take what you have to take from that, and not take the irrational things that you feel are irrational. I remember I was studying design in NIFT, and I had this very beautiful friend. Her name is Vinita, and she is Christian and a Christian Catholic
Hmm.
converted, very religious and all of that. And she loved gay people. So I was like, um, because Christian, like in the Bible, it's mentioned like whatever. Not that I've gone through it, but it says, man and a woman and like all of that shit. And she says that yes, I am a devout Catholic and I do read the Bible every day. But who told you that I have to believe everything that the Bible says? I take what I feel is rational and I omit the things. I'm a human being and I can identify humanity. And I don't need a Bible to tell me that everything in it is rational. It's written by a human being. I take what I find rational in it, and I don't take what I don't find rational in it. And she never used the word right or wrong for it, right? She used the word rational and irrational, which I was very impressed with. So yeah, there are all sort of things you can still abide by your certain things and question your authenticity. And I think authenticity is the real religion. And once you are really into the real religion, which is authenticity, then the growth and everything is just gonna follow. Everything, good karma, love from other people, everything is going to just follow. Authenticity is the key, is what I would like to tell people. I don't know if that makes any sense for the
Yes.
question, but that's
No,
what I
it
would
it, it it
say.
it makes absolute sense. And as you said, like, uh, I really loved how you put it across that it's we who should be helping our previous generation or upcoming generations to kind of lead, create that path, create that conversation. I think one of the intent of this podcast is also to kind of collect conversations about faith. The space which we are all living in as queer individuals, it's already been very polarized in so nature. Like, we are already kind of fighting with identities, and then faith adds up another layer of conflict within our own self. And there were times where it's not the like I reached out to multiple drag artists who are all from India and the diaspora. uh, People are afraid to kind of even attempt the thought of connecting or rechecking or the re understanding the idea of faith with drag as an intent, because something or the other way, it's only seen as a certain point of connection. And I'm very much I would, I would say, I'm very much so much I was uh, I got so much of a high when I was speaking to you, because this was you have kept something which was very interesting to kind of not only look out but also to kind of follow for the next few years, as and when we are kind of navigating as drag artists. So thank you so much for doing that, and thank you so much for taking time in making this effort more
Of
fruitful.
course. Anytime. Thank you so much. I think what you're doing is really absolutely amazing. What the British Council is doing with you is absolutely amazing because you're doing it with them. These conversations are important. Conversations in general are important.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that you are doing the drag that is more towards like a social cause and
Mhm.
all of these things, because not a lot of other drag queens are really doing that, and you
Mhm.
are really doing this beautifully. And that also will eventually have a positive effect on other drag queens. Your work, if you see collective, because I believe in collective
Hmm.
consciousness. I do believe in collective consciousness. Sometimes I do things which I don't know, but it comes from a collective consciousness, I'm assuming, right? And I
Hmm.
do believe
Hmm.
in that. So yeah, the idea is to really build a strong drag culture, and instead of fighting, to really be there for each other and really within that. And there could be difficult conversations sometimes, yeah,
Yeah.
between each other, like any sisters would have or any family would have, right? It's not like a easy stretch, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, keeping the integrity, respect, and all of those things of other artists too, and sort of seeing this. I cannot grow alone.
Yeah.
Sass, it's not possible. It's
Yeah.
not possible to do that. If I want to see drag, my own drag personally, to get anywhere else, I need to see it as a culture. Is when I will also grow
Indeed.
where it needs to go. Only then will it go somewhere. I cannot say that I'm the only it or this or blah blah
Hmm.
and so
Hmm.
forth,
Hmm. Hmm.
and like be negative towards few chosen.
Hmm.
कितने ही है यार drag queens? How many drag queens do we have,
Yeah. Currently, it's
right?
100.
Oh
Currently, it's.
wow, not bad though, but not bad. That's
But
amazing.
having said that,
But
again, it needs what I say, it needs passion. Like, this art form needs uh
a
resistance,
lot.
resilience, and passion. And a lot of the times where a lot of the drag artists start for at least a year and a half, and they feel very demotivated that they are not getting work, or they're not being equalized with people who have already been settled a certain kind of a space, and then trying to kind of go back and shut doors, which is somewhere or the other way. We get that, that's how the initial start is. People can, if you are putting 6 or 7 runners at one particular podium and ask them to run, there are times where people need to catch breath. So I do understand that. Having said that, when this situation also happens, it's also important to realize that this art form needs patience, a lot of patience. And there are times where people fall, and then they have to start from the scratch and get up. And this is something which is a very we should not be. It's not something which is very materialistic. It's something which is like, once you have the essence of it, once you have the taste of uh, doing drag or being that persona, um, it's an addiction. You can't leave it. It'll sit on your head and it'll
It's
kind of
an
eat you. But thank you so much, Laura, for being with us and sharing this wonderful anecdote. And to all the people who are listening to us, unfortunately, we are at the end of the episode, but there are a lot of other conversations which would be happening on this podcast channel. So please come ahead and join, subscribe, share it with your friends, share it with people. Tell us what you would like to listen in this particular series. Tell us or suggest drag artists whom you would like to be listening to, so that I would be more than happy to kind of connect with them and share their journey as well. But until then, you can always kind of write back to us. You can always kind of follow the channel and help us reach more people. Thank you so much, each and everybody, to be a part of it, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.